people worry about, oh, am I going to lose the job? Yes, you'll lose the job if you're not using AI effectively. So what that tells me is that no matter what stage in your career you are, you have a powerful tool like AI that can help you, assist you. You're not replacing yourself. You're using AI as a reference document to be able to give you some output. And I've seen so many people who would come and say, Asha, you will not believe it. I built this in 20 seconds, 20 minutes. And they have really done, and they see the magic of what a technology like AI can do for you. So for me, I started having this question, what is my impact? What am I leaving behind? And I realized that I have to write all that I learned in 3 decades so that I can leave something behind. So I started writing the book about how business and technology can work together to implement AI.
Dear friends, welcome to a new episode of UMA Stories, where we touch meaningful stories of transformations through education, striving, and resilience, and people who have achieved. Asha, welcome once again to UMA Stories.
Thank you.
It's such a joy to having you. Now we're going to talk more deeply on AI. That's your area of expertise.
Yes.
AI, entrepreneurship, business, leadership, and how AI is impacting everything we do. So talking about AI, when did you first realize that artificial intelligence wasn't just a technological trend, but a civilization shift?
It's a great question because I've spent almost 35 years in the industry working with data, machine learning, data science, and some form of artificial intelligence. And when you're going through your academia, when I was doing my undergrad, graduation, PhD, throughout my academic courses, you're so focused on a problem you're solving, the technology that you're learning or you're applying. And throughout my career, I started as a programmer, a database engineer. I'm working with data from the very beginning, trying to understand how to use the data to create learning, information, intelligence. But truly at that time, when you're actually working with technology like artificial intelligence, again, artificial intelligence encompasses everything, which is data, analytics, intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. All of this technology is like amazing tools for engineers because they are working with now sophisticated technology to solve problems. You're not thinking about civilization, impact. You're thinking about, as an engineer, I'm working with this amazing technology and I get to solve problems. So when I was in application of technology, when I was building companies, I was solving problems. My last company was a healthcare software company. And so when I was actually building the solution, that was fun because I was working with technology to solve problems. I never thought about the impact, the civilization shift that this would bring. It really occurred to me during the pandemic when I was writing my first book, The AI Factor. And I started because it's really time to reflect.
Yes.
During pandemic, I really realized that people have only short time on this earth. And anything like a pandemic can immediately, in a day or two, take your life away.
Yes.
During that time, a lot of us were sitting at home and doing the work. We couldn't go out. And you were getting these news of people passing away.
Yeah.
So for me, I started having this question, what is my impact? What am I leaving behind? And I realized that I have to write all that I learned in 3 decades so that I can leave something behind. So I started writing the book about how business and technology can work together to implement AI. When I started writing the book, it was really about how you can implement AI in an organization effectively. And I was building frameworks because I was a professor. The way I wrote the book was in chapters to teach business leaders and technology leaders in enterprises how to create the impact. But as I started reflecting on technology, I started seeing the trend, the data, the massive amount of data, and the evolvement of this technology is going to have a bigger impact because, listen, AI has been around for many years.
75 years, yes.
Exactly. In 1950s, the term AI was coined.
Yes.
So it's not that the technology was new. We were doing predictive analytics, we were working with machine learning.
Yes.
But what shifted was the big data. The more data these models have, the better it is for them to respond.
Yep.
And so OpenAI was investing in building this model, which they announced November 2022. And everything changed because natural language processing, the way how you communicate with computers, was the first time we saw an application in 2022, November 2022. 2023 became the year when people were just learning about Gen AI, generative AI. And that's when the world saw the impact that this is going to change how we have learned, how we execute and perform, and how our world will change. Our professions, our businesses, our environment will change because we have something as powerful as AI entering our homes, entering our lives.
Yes.
A child or an older, professional could actually communicate with AI so easily, so simply, like we've never seen before.
Was the first time that AI became so available to everyone in such a simple way. And you wrote your first book, The AI Factor, before ChatGPT 3.5 launch in November 2022. Actually, your book was released in Amazon
February 2023.
23, but it took years to write.
2 years. I wrote
2 years.
books too, yeah.
And in your book, you address a very practical and a strategic way to implement AI. It can be for an enterprise or for an individual.
Yes.
So you talk about the 4 quadrants.
Yes.
Can you briefly talk about that? Because that's a very good way to approach to AI in a very practical way. You don't need to be an engineer to do that. Anyone can see, reflect, approach using the 4 quadrants and then implement a strategy around it.
Absolutely. So, when what I saw in my career is that technologists are trying to solve the problem and they get so engrossed in solving the problem, they forget what they were building the technology for. And they'll end up investing money in buying all this technology but not using it properly. And business leaders get frustrated because they work with IT teams and they say, build me something, but now they're so engrossed in solving that problem, they forgot how it's going to help the business user. So there is a disconnect between business and technology. So the reason I wrote the first book, The AI Factor, was to provide the framework that you speak about. There are 4-step process in the book I talk about. The very first step is the power quadrant. It's understanding where you are and what do you need the technology for. And a lot of people ask me, is your book relevant as technology is changing so fast? And I always say that the book is not talking to you about how to build a large language model. My book is about understanding the frameworks that can apply to the technology as it evolves. The power quadrant, the very first step in the book, talks about understanding the 4 quadrant. The very first quadrant is about optimization. You can use AI to optimize your processes, optimize your organization, or optimize what you do as a professional. If you're a marketer, you can optimize how you're using your process to market your product. So optimizer is really the biggest value AI provides. That you take something that you're doing today and how do you optimize that? A simple example would be, how do I write my emails? Or how do I write a content on my social media? That's optimization. In larger terms, in a large organization, you can use the same optimization for bigger process. How I engage with my customers. How do I answer service requests? The second quadrant talks about extender. Now that you've built something, can you actually extend that? So if you have built a chatbot, can you extend that globally in different languages? So extender is reaching your market. The third quadrant talks about innovation. So as an innovator, are you launching new products, new services, new courses in a university? How do you understand what your consumer needs? And that's innovator. And the last quadrant, which is the most important quadrant, is the multiplier. Can you actually use AI to break the business models like Netflix did? Blockbuster was a brick and mortar company and they were selling videos for rental. And we all would go on Friday night and get this, DVD to be able to play and make it a movie night. But Netflix came in and said, I want to understand my consumer. First, they started sending out the red envelope, But what they were doing was understanding the interest you have. They would look at the queue, what was the videos you wanted was on your wait list.
To recommend.
Yeah. And then they launched original series.
Yes.
Netflix was not in the business of original series or creating content.
That's the new business model.
New business model,
Yes.
and they did that because they understood the data
100%.
that the consumer were providing. And they could launch a new business line because of that. So a multiplier is an organization or a professional who can break the business model.
Yes.
Think new ways of launching a product.
Fantastic.
Sometimes your consumers don't know what they want. But if you understand the consumer data, you can think about using AI to change the business model. Like telehealth.
Yeah.
Instead of going into a clinic, now you can have a telehealth where you use a device to be able to talk to the doctor. So that's a new way of doing business.
Amazing. We are going to talk about data and data readiness and data governance. Hold on that thought because that's key. Actually, the power of AI is based on the computational power, and we have such a huge power on ourselves, not talking about our computers and laptops. Second is about data, right? And how well the data is curated, or how accurate is the data we are collecting from our customers, from our people, from the trends
sources,
we analyze. And the other one is definitely the investment we make, and the investment that is making all over the world on AI. That's why it's changing so fast. But we as students and professionals on our field, sometimes we feel intimidated by AI and the rapid change of it. And we are fearful about if we are going to cope with that rapid change. How is a good and productive way to face AI and becoming both good in our field, meaning hard skills, and good on implementing AI in our field of endeavor, regardless how fast AI is evolving, because we won't be able to catch up, but we need it.
Yes.
What would be a right way to approach to AI?
So first thing I always say is that the technology is changing so fast.
Yes.
You can't wait and say, I can't keep up. You can't make excuses. You have to jump right in. Take a baby step, create small wins. Create something that is easy for you to use.
Yes.
If it's content creation, it could be for your basic thing like email or a letter or your social media content, but start somewhere and start using the technology that's coming. Now, the good news is that it's evolving so fast, the technology is getting better and better. So if you're creating an image for your logo, for your organization, you don't have to go to a graphic designer, you don't have to take 10 steps to create an image
100%.
For your logo. You can now go to any of the large language model, I will call it an AI friend, and ask your AI friend or coworker to create a logo for you pretty quickly in 10-15 seconds.
Yes.
So now we have these tools available to us in our day-to-day life. So instead of fearing, jumping right in and testing these tools. I have some students, I have people I know who are my colleagues at work who have now used AI agents that we're going to talk about a little bit.
We are going to talk further
to
about
build solutions just to solve their problems in a day-to-day task.
Yes.
So you can automate your task on a daily basis to be able to actually execute your task. So I would say that instead of worrying about AI or fearing AI, you have to jump in and start playing with it and use it for something in your daily task that can make your life easier, and you'll see the impact. And I've seen so many people who would come and say, Asha, you will not believe it. I built this in 20 seconds, 20 minutes. And they have really done, and they see the magic of what a technology like AI can do for you.
And be curious, try to implement.
Exactly.
It's there to help, and go deep in it as much as you can, because it really is like the perfect collaborator of you. And that's the point on AI.
Technology is moving faster than any of us can imagine.
Asha just showed us that all it takes is one first step and the courage not to be left behind. Now we'll explore how to put artificial intelligence to work in your life and your career.
La inteligencia artificial ya forma parte de nuestra vida. ¿Por qué no aprender a usarla a tu favor? En la Universidad María Auxiliadora hemos creado cursos de inteligencia artificial para mayores de 40 años, diseñados para aprender de forma práctica y sencilla, porque aprender no tiene edad, y el futuro también es para ti. Escríbenos al WhatsApp 914-569-310 o visítanos en uma.edu.p.
One thing that I have found in dealing with faculty and dealing with the academic implementation on AI and also on the professional field is that we tend to hold on the old ways to do things, and we tend to think about the past with a very nostalgic, good old days, and try to hold on that, right? And sometimes there are professionals on the health front, even regulators that said, no, there is no way human beings are going to be replaced. There is no way we're going to have telemedicine as ethical and successful as a human contact.
Yes.
But on the other hand, it is very limiting because it's so much that we as humans can achieve on face-to-face kind of way. So what would be the right way to approach AI and break some human patterns of holding and preventing change?
I have a great story for that, actually.
Please.
I was talking to one of a senior leader in a large financial services company in New York. And I was talking to him that I'm seeing over and over again that these educated professionals are resisting using AI. These are technologists and they don't want to use AI because they have the old system saying, we know the best. We're not going to depend upon AI to give us the answer. So he said, Asha, we actually hired a very strong consulting firm with 17 senior architects who were going to come and give us this plan to redesign our technology space. And he said, it took about 8 months later, I went to them and I said, what have you done? And they said, it's a long process, it's going to take us 18 months, we are redesigning the entire system. And he said, can you give me a plan? And they said, we are still working on it, we will give you a plan. And it's 8 months later, and it's a big team with big budget. And so he lined up hiring 2 interns from an Ivy League institution in eastern part of US. And these interns come in, 7 weeks project to redesign the same exact work they gave.
And they did it with AI.
They did it with AI.
Absolutely.
And so he looked at what they created with the help of AI. Now the same tools were available to these senior architects. And same tools were given to these interns. And the result was phenomenal with what they did with AI. Because they used AI to assist. And then they provided that final document presentation. And so this leader said, you know what, I'm sad to say I'll have to let go of the architect team. Because they were so adamant in not changing. So what that tells me is that no matter what stage in your career you are, you have a powerful tool like AI that can help you, assist you. You're not replacing yourself. You're using AI as a reference document to be able to give you some output. Now, I'm not saying that take that output and submit that output to your boss. But what I'm saying is that use that output, use AI as one of your sources to produce the results faster and a better quality result because you have another resource that can help you produce something that is high quality. But of course, as a human, you always stay in the loop to audit, to edit, to improve, to provide your domain expertise. And that's what the magic is, that you use AI, you put your own magic, you make it better, and then you submit the work. Because now you're using just as a reference tool.
Wonderful said, Asha. It's not there to replace professional. It's there to replace professionals who don't use it because there are others who are using it.
Exactly.
To access to such a wide range of tools. And it can be done. I remember my sister when she wants to remodel one part of their house, she used to ask an architect to do some kind of blueprints. It took forever,
Yes.
4 weeks, because they were trying to do their best unique way. Now she just take pictures. He
it in the
measured the
AI
environment
solution.
and said, I
Yeah.
want this, a good prompt. And it has endless kind of tools. Still, the professional is needed because they are going to say,
Yes.
this goes through this way, whatever.
Yes.
But it's in such a faster way, more efficient,
Yes.
and also more accessible.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So all our professionals, our students, even entrepreneurs with or without professions, have access to this wonderful tool that can
Exactly.
enhance everything we do. But we need to know how to apply
Right.
it. Fantastic. We're going to talk deeply about your books. Let's think about the AI factor. You address how technology have to be human-centered.
Yes.
It's not about the technology center, but human-centered. Can you talk more about it?
Yeah, another great story actually about that is one of the news article came out where they were saying that this company is suing Anthropic, and Anthropic has Claude, and so this organization actually built an agent. Agent takes task and automate the task. So the task was to clean the database, which means make sure that you're looking at all the files. If they're incorrect, you fix it and clean your database. The agent kept looking at the data, and instead of cleaning one by one, it deleted the whole database.
Oh my.
Not only deleted the main database, deleted also the backup database. Now, of course, the organization lost a lot of information, got really upset, went to Anthropic and said, we're going to sue you. And this lawsuit was not viable because that's only the tool.
Yes.
All the disclaimer is that AI should not have the full control. Humans have to be in the loop to make the decision if it's the right output or not. So if the humans are not going to be in the loop appropriately, the system can make a mistake. So it is so important that we control and put all the guardrails, and that's why I think, I have a whole organization, and I'm a big spokesperson about governance. I, in fact, run an organization, and I'm a chairperson for this technology company, which is an AI governance organization called Xnode. And Xnode.ai is a software that creates the control plane to be able to monitor, govern, also observe how the model is working. So it becomes really important that we're investing in the right tools to not let AI do things without the human in the loop.
That's great.
And have these tools that will actually flag when there is going to be an issue.
Amazing. So a human being, an expert has to be on the loop. There are things that we can, give to AI,
Yes.
more automated kind of things, but at the end there is always human intervention to sign, to edit, to correct, and for that humans need to know.
And you know what? This is a great example for students.
Yes.
A lot of, as a faculty member myself at Columbia University, I hear a lot of my peers talk about the students can give you the report that looks similar to somebody else's report. I always challenge that, and I say that, listen, it's very important as a student that you think about what you want to tell in your report.
Yes.
It's your idea. You can take help from the AI, but that has to be only one of the sources. So you consolidate all your sources, you create something final, you're signing on it. It's your name on that report. So it is very important as a student as well to challenge AI, put your thoughts into the paper, be able to justify what output you're producing, because ultimately human is the one who's going to sign on the dotted line. The output, and in my second book, which I wrote, Digital Human Advantage, is all about how the world is going to change. And as the world is changing, it's going to be focusing on the output. It doesn't matter if the human is doing the work or the AI agent is doing the work. It's about how as a team you come together and you provide the output. So it's really important that humans understand what their responsibility is and how you're governing these models.
Fantastic. Let us talk now about your second book. Actually, your third, because the second one
was a workbook.
Was a workbook.
And this is the third book.
That's the third book. All of them huge hits in Amazon and worldwide. You are a bestseller on everything you do, and these books are indeed very useful. Last year when you came to visit us and to work with our faculty and students, you were talking about the future is agentic AI.
Yes.
I'm writing and finishing my next book about that. But now it's the present. It's not the future anymore. It's embedded in everything we do. Can you tell us more about agentic AI?
Absolutely. So the first book, when I was writing, the world was talking about generative AI.
Yes.
Generative AI is when you can generate the next word, the next image. So you're generating, but you're reactive AI. You're actually engaging with AI and you're giving prompts. You're asking a question, it gives you the feedback. Agentic AI, or the AI agents, work on and act on what the output is required. So let's say if you say, I want to travel to Italy, tell me a restaurant, and it gives you a restaurant recommendation, that's reactive.
Yes, reactive, yeah.
But when you say, I want to make a reservation, it goes out, finds your choices, knows what kind of restaurant you want to go to.
Even book a reservation.
Book a reservation, and then make a reservation and put it on your calendar.
Yep.
Now that is an agent. Agent will do the complete task for the output you're looking for. And that's AI agent. And then when you talk about agentic world, that means there are multiple agents that are working together to create that agentic system that a lot of organizations are now implementing. So we are very actively in the world now that agents are doing the work for us. So it's important that we understand what these
100%.
concepts are.
And sometimes we may feel intimidated. What if I put the wrong kind of prompt to the AI agent in Claude or Anthropic or any agent actually, and mess it up with my email or whatever.
Yes.
So what's the right approach to start, looking at agentic AI and build something upon it?
And it starts always from the very beginning. When you're creating your agents, you need to put the guardrails. What are the things agent can do? What are the things agent cannot do? And where does human have to come in the loop? What are the checks and balances you want to put it when you're architecting the agent?
Fantastic.
So it is important that these tools are going to become very easy to learn, and these tools are going to be available to everybody. The people who actually use it effectively are the ones who are going to start standing out.
Yeah.
People worry about, am I going to lose the job? Yes, you'll lose the job if you're not using AI effectively. What problems are you solving? What questions are you asking? And how you're creating the structure becomes really important. So if I want to, in a simple example, make a reservation, or I want to do a marketing post for my organization, or I want to recruit an employee and I want to sort through all the resumes, if you don't put the right guardrails, how your recruiter, HR recruiter is acting, then you're going to have a problem. So it's so important that we understand, and that's why the whole responsible AI, ethical AI has become such a big task, because yes, the technology is very powerful, and I'm a technology optimist and I love AI and what it can do for you. But I also talk about being cautious. It can also create a lot of risk, a lot of harm. When you start thinking about security breaches, there are new kinds of security breaches that are coming out, which we don't even know about. And that's where the opportunity is to create security softwares. So there's a lot more opportunity in the world of AI now than ever before. So if you're investing in AI, you are jumping in just to use it or create something new. There's so much more opportunity as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, or as a professional. Sky's the limit. This is the time. We are so blessed that we are in the profession right now to play with a technology like AI and be able to take our next journey, a professional journey.
100%. At UMA, we are striving toward being an agentic university, and you are helping us in such a great way.
What I love about UMA is that not only your faculty is learning technically what AI can do, but also learning these frameworks from AI Factor and implementing AI Factor and digital human advantage frameworks into every single horizontal field. So if you're in nursing, or if you're an attorney, or you're studying law, or you're an accountant, or you're a health sciences or a psychologist, it is so interesting to see, and we got a chance to actually meet with the faculty and see what they're creating for the students. I was so impressed that how they have actually used these frameworks and are implementing in their syllabus, that the students will be able to learn the AI Factor and the digital human advantage frameworks to be able to go into the market, into the field, and be able to implement these frameworks that would help them stand out in their career.
Absolutely, Asha. And the magic about your frameworks is that they are so down to earth, so I would say easy to implement, but you have to understand the logic behind it. So when we were implementing 2 years or 3 years ago AI in the curricula, we have seen it in different ways. First, on the academic way. So we invested heavily on bringing academics who have walked this path decades ago, mainly from Asia, also from the States, and they gave us powerful frameworks on the academic front.
Yeah.
And then you came, and you did it in such a practical way. And you know, wise women and wise men are the ones who make the very complex ideas simple, simple to implement. So we embrace it, we implement it with all that we have gained from, very wise people on these fronts. And everything started to make sense. So we connected the dots and implemented. Same with agentic AI on the strategic thinking on AI on our organization with all the workshops that you have done this year. So thank you once again. So to address to the people that are listening, what advices would you give them regarding implementing AI in their lives, in their professions, or if there are students of any kind of field? You have touched some points of it, but final advices, like 3 or 4 key points.
My final advice for the students or anybody who's listening would be that you have to jump in. Use AI for your daily work processes. Yes, it is scary because there's so many changes and there's so many tools, but pick a couple and start using them for doing your day-to-day tasks. I love the example you gave for your sister that she used it just to redesign her house. Yeah. You can use it for redesigning your landscape, or what plants should I put, or what recipe I need to use for cooking. Start using AI in day-to-day tasks. If you're a student, you're going for an interview, build some agent for your own self, automating your email, learning about an organization. If you're a professional or a faculty, use that to think about innovative ideas of creating your coursework or a syllabus. New ways of teaching a concept. You can improve who you are today with the help of this intelligent friend you have on your side. Think about it as a faculty, how many times we change our teaching style? Never. Now you have an AI friend, AI coach, AI partner who can actually help you think new ideas of how you're going to teach a concept differently to different students. How can you answer questions? How can you really think about a concept in a way that you can teach this and make it more fun for you to teach? So there's so many ways for you to jump in and be creative, stand out, excel in your career. What a great time to really learn and play with a new tool where you don't need a lot of guidance and a lot of coaching. You can actually ask AI to teach you how to use AI. It's a wonderful time to be a student again, irrespective of the age.
It's a wonderful time to be a student again. I finish with that. And we have access to all information we want and all the tools we want. Back in our days, we have to go to a library.
Exactly.
We have to access to books. Few materials were online because, internet was just starting to get in. But now we have access to everything. At a fingerprints. Thank you, Asha. It was really, really powerful what you have said. Just a final thought about data, because we have to collect good data in order to have good results, and how important we have to be very aware about governance and data management. What are your final thoughts about data, and how easy is to build data of our customers, of ourselves, our style? Talk a little bit about data.
So data is the core of any model, and the model is only as good as your data is. So if you give bad data to the model, it'll give you the bad results. So you cannot blame the model, it's the data you are feeding. A couple of amazing stories which are very popular are about the Amazon HR recruiter. Amazon built this HR recruiter, which was an AI agent, and it was looking for candidates for an engineering position. All the engineers in the past were men, and all the resumes or the data that was fed in this model that was learning was, all right, if it's a man from Silicon Valley, from these schools, he's going to be a great engineer. So any resumes that came from female gender, it automatically started rejecting. Now, it doesn't mean that if it's a female, she can't be a good engineer, but the data that was fed to the model was only of the male, engineers. And so then they very quickly realized that, oops, we put the wrong data set, or not enough data set, and the model is making a mistake. And they had to remove that AI agent, AI recruiter. Same story, or similar story about the AI chatbot Microsoft launched in 2016. And she was supposed to be a conversational AI agent on Twitter, which is now X, but in 2016 it was Twitter. And what she did, she would listen to what people were talking about and be able to converse with you. During that time, it was election time, and there was a lot of bitterness going on, a lot of negativity. So what this chatbot did,
Responding the same way.
Started responding the same way. And Microsoft had to bring her down within 48 hours because it was going rogue. It was just going crazy. And so they had to bring it down. So the data you feed, that's what the results are going to be. So it is so important to understand garbage in, garbage out. You have to be very cautious about where your data sources are. I had a member of our organization, World Leaders in Data and AI, and she was telling me a story. She said, I had an analyst in a pharmaceutical company, and it was a cardiac drug development research we were doing. And the data which was fed, it has very little women data. So she brought it up and she said, the results that I'm seeing, I'm worried that might not be the right results for the female data set. So she actually went out and said, I'm going to acquire the female data set. So she went out, looked at all the data sources, brought the female data set, and the results were completely different. And so this leader was telling me that if she didn't point that out, we would have a complete different result that might not have been good for the community of the female gender. So that's why it's so important that we have the right people on the team who can voice out that where you get the data from, what is the right data set for these models to use. So data is the
100%.
key, and you cannot ignore the kind of data you're collecting and how you're going to feed these models, because that's what these models are learning from.
Absolutely, and also the way we relate to AI and the language we use. A great friend of us, another YPOer, Aditya Bele, always said, address to AI in a respectful way because it is going to learn the way you communicate, and in that way it responds. A clear example was the one that you said about politics and all the heated up discussions, and sometimes with words that are not us, right? Thank you, Asha. Yeah, please.
One more thing I want to mention. I did a TEDx called Human Upgrade. And it is the time that we as humans have to upgrade ourselves because we're working with AI. And this digital human who is going to interact with the real human and is learning from us. In the second book, I talk about the child to sage methodology, that these models are like children. They're learning from what we teach them. And they're going to learn a little bit, and they're going to become adolescents, then they're going to become a youth. By the time they get to sage and they understand the whole concept, they're learning from the environment we are feeding. It's the data we are feeding. So it becomes really important as humans, we upgrade ourselves of how we show up in the world, what values we have, how we communicate with this child, which is the AI, and make sure that we contribute because we are writing history. Each one of us who's listening might not even understand or know that how you communicate with your phone or you communicate with somebody else, the computer is listening, or how you shop, or how you comment on somebody's post on social media. These models are learning how they will become and how they will act for the future to come. So it's so important that we, as humans, upgrade ourselves and become better human in the age of AI.
Thank you, Asha. You said it, I cannot add any more to it. And thank you, we are learning every day, and thank you for this very wise podcast.
Toda gran historia comienza con una decisión. En la Universidad María Auxiliadora, formamos líderes a través de 16 carreras profesionales, maestrías y especialidades. Ven y cambia tu historia en la primera universidad del Perú, con inteligencia artificial integrada en todas sus carreras profesionales. Escríbenos al WhatsApp 914-569-313 o visítanos en uma.edu.pe.
Asha Saxena proved that artificial intelligence isn't a threat. It's a choice made by those who decide to look ahead. Right now is the perfect moment to take that first step and change your story.